Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the Netflix anime Sirius the Jaeger. And I enjoyed this anime. It had an interesting kind of premise. Now, it wasn't edgy or seat kind of anime, but it's only like 12 episodes, and the way it ends, I'd be fine if that was just the case. I mean, they could have a second season, but there wasn't really much to go on. This was mainly centered around one character, Yuli. Now, there were other characters as well, but they all kind of fed into his story and his kind of growth throughout the series. So, the setting of this series is like in the 1930s, and it deals with supernatural of like werewolves and vampires, and we got a little bit of Frankenstein kind of creations thrown into the mix as well. Because we see as they're chasing this one head vampire, that vampires are kind of a big kind of issue, but not very well known throughout the world. But that there's this organization of Jaegers in London that are kind of trying to get everything under control and figure out what's going on. And Yuli, he had joined them, well, it's not really clear when he joined them, but he was taken care of by one of the Jaegers, Professor Willard. And his kind of relationship with him comes a little bit later and kind of more important. But Yuli is of the Sirius tribe, and they're werewolves. Now, granted, I don't really like their depiction of werewolves in this, mainly because if you don't figure out that they're werewolves, you're just like, oh, they just go kind of crazy, kind of get teeth, and that's about it. Yuli doesn't really use a lot of any kind of werewolf abilities other than to smell vampires. And that's about it with like his power structure. Otherwise, he mainly uses his weaponry and his skills to take down vampires. And by the way, the animation for it is pretty awesome. I really like the action and fight scenes. This is more of an action kind of focused one, though it really doesn't pick up more until the end with the main kind of fight with the main head vampire. But they're trying to figure out what the vampires are up to. They go to Japan and find out that the vampires are orchestrating this kind of gang to kind of keep people off their scent, kind of. It was a really weird kind of thing. They're just kind of using it for their own kind of purposes, and also to kind of use them to get people and continue their experiments, because there's this disease only for vampires that's killing them, and the head vampires are like, screw it, the weak will die and all that kind of stuff. Now, we don't really dive that much into it. We only have Yevgraf, who is the main head vampire, who's looking for the Ark of Sirius, which is supposed to contain vast stores of knowledge that they could probably use to cure it. So he's trying to use all these different kind of ways to get there. The Jaegers stay in this house with this kind of older guy and his young daughter, who is infatuated with Yuli and kind of gets in with them because the vampires go and attack the estate, and she's able to kind of take out one of them with her sword, because her dad's like, I'm the man of this house and I'm going to like defend my people and all that kind of stuff. But as he's about to go up, a vampire crashes through. So, as they're kind of investigating in Japan, they figure out that there's this one incident with the military that like a whole platoon was wiped out. It's like, holy crap. They're able to get on the train, and Yuli gets confronted with his brother, Mikhail. And he was evidently turned by Yevgraf, and he tells Yuli that, okay, if we meet again, since you're going to be a Jaeger and you want vengeance on all vampires, you're going to be my enemy. But of course, this gets Yuli thinking, maybe there's another way. Of course, that's during the attack on the estate that he learns that Willard was the one that translated this ancient text that set the vampires onto the Sirius's home of Dogville. Yeah, it's called Dogville. The writing's not complete crap, but I would think of a better name than Dogville for a place where werewolves live. It's like, come find me, come get me. Yes. That's like, That's like if vampires lived on a desert, like lived on an island called Vampire Island. Come, we'll make all your wishes come true and all that shit. It's like, god damn it. And of course we see the vampires loathe the werewolves. Term werewolf is never reused, or lycanthrope, or anything of that matter. It's really kind of strange. But of course, they had attacked Dogville to get the Ark of Sirius, but the Ark wasn't there because Yuli's father had taken it away to hide it. And of course, they're still searching around. Eventually, they find it near Japan that this was the ancient Sirius home, and Yuli's father had sacrificed his life to seal it. So Yuli goes, gets into it. He's by himself at this point. The rest of the Jaegers have been recalled to London, but they decide to go and help Yuli out. This is where the big kind of climactic showdown gets into effect. Mikhail has actually gotten himself infected with the disease because at a point we see that the disease allows a vampire to ignore the blood pact that is made with their sire. And through that blood pact, the sire can will the born. I'm kind of not making up terms here, but it's never really said like the sire and the one that's born from them to do whatever they want. And of course, he uses the blood pact to make Mikhail go after and kill Yuli. Well, Yuli's able to get through. He's able to talk with his father and say, listen, I'm going to have another way to share the pride of the Sirius and try and get everybody to live in harmony. It's like, okay, let's see how that works out. And he kind of goes up. They're fighting through all the vampires and all that. And we get the climactic showdown. And Mikhail, of course, had given the Ark to Yevcroft, and it's like, oh, that's not good. But of course, Willard had made the stop off to Dogville, and they got the kind of opposite of the Ark to help control it. Of course, they give that to Yuli, and we see that Yevcroft decides to eat the Ark because it's a little ball. And I guess it wasn't really useful unless there's like the blood of Yuli on it, because Yuli gets his blood on it as his brother attacks him to get the Ark from him. But of course, that's when the disease starts getting into effect and they start to go up and double team. Yevcroft eats it. His eye goes fucking crazy. And he's like, oh, screw it, I'm going to be a progenitor of a new race of vampires. All y'all rest and fuck off. Granted, it's a little bit, no, that's pretty much the essence to it. He fights one dude and he fucking dusts. And she's like, fine, if you're strong enough, you'll be a new vampire. It's like, oh god, because we see these two little girl vampires, which are kind of freaky, and they're like, this is kind of fucked up. Yep. Now, granted, this is after one of the little girls has been killed by another vampire because he didn't want to be a vampire, and he's like, screw these people. But then we start getting in the climactic fight. Yevcroft can't control this Ark of Sirius and tries to fly away, but Yuli and Mikhail are able to take him out, and they get the Ark back, but this is at the point that Mikhail has succumbed to it, and Yuli decides to take it and try and use this knowledge to help create a peaceful coexistence between werewolf, because we don't know of any other Siriuses that are alive at this point other than Yuli, but he's able to have it. He gets taken on a train ride with the little girl, and it wasn't really clear. I kind of had to look up online to see what happened to her. I thought she kind of just flew out the window, but evidently she died. I don't know. But she was taking him to converse with the head vampires to try and make some kind of agreement with them. So it had a nice resolution to the conflict. The Jaegers are going after Yuli. Well, his pack is going after him to help him out, though they are not going to be really helping out the other Jaegers. They're just trying to make sure that nobody's trying to go after him, and they're trying to protect him to stop him from falling into the wrong hands, because everybody in the world wants to get all the knowledge and everything, even though it's not really shown what kind of knowledge or power this art can give people, or tech. Now granted, they could expand upon that later, but this was just a kind of nice kind of time filler kind of anime. Had nice visuals, nice music, good fight scenes. Yuli's kind of the only main character that is fleshed out, like the girl at the estate, Ryoko. She made it to look like she's going to like walk her own path to be kind of a warrior Jaeger or whatnot, but she decides to study management with her father and take over that business, and that would lead her to Yuli or whatnot. I'm like, okay, you're kind of doing what your dad wanted. I mean, that's okay. It's just we didn't spend enough time with her or any of the other ones to really get much of a connection with, other than the professor and his relationship with Yuli and the falling. There was no real falling out, but like Yuli was like, "Why didn't you tell me? I think of you as a second father," kind of thing. And it was kind of nice to see that kind of sentiment throughout and towards the end, and see Willard kind of echo that sentiment, and be like, you know what, you're kind of a son to me. So I'm not adverse to them just kind of stopping here, but if they continue on and it like gets better, I wouldn't mind it. If you've got any other anime that you're really into or really excited to look forward to, definitely watch that anime first. This isn't really for those that get scared of things or like blood or whatnot, so avoid that. But if you just kind of need a time filler or whatnot, you could do worse than this. This is actually a good one to just be like, oh, okay, I've got this all in the background. It's pretty easy to follow and not really that complicated. So if you're studying or whatnot, oh, okay, yeah, I want a supernatural kind of anime. I'm good with this. So those are my opinion on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.